Start with the last class, we did discuss about decision making statements or control statements. Conditional statements. We did discuss about all different types of decision making statements. If different forms of if, and then if else, and then elif, all that we had discussed. And today we'll go up with loops, another core concept of Python. So let me just open the document. So am I sharing the screen? Oh, 1 minute. I'm opening my Python this thing. Okay, let's do this. Let me start sharing my screen. So we are going to talk about another important topic. I'll make sure that we go slowly and very clearly on this topic. So that is loop control statements. So what is a loop means? So we can start from here. It performs a repetitive task. Okay. So if we talk about decision making, it can check a condition only for one time. It cannot check iteratively, or it cannot check again and again. So that is the limitation with which one, friends? With decision making or if statement. But in real time, we need to check a condition again and again. There might be situations we need to iteratively check a condition or repetitively check a condition. In such case, we prefer loop control statements. So what is that loops do here? Loops perform a repetitive task. Okay. Yeah, I think we are recording. I was just checking that. Just please remind me in case if you don't see this, the this red bulb. Oh, I mean this is recording. Okay. If you don't see anything like in red color, just let me know. So that's it. And in Python, we just have only two types of control statements are loops, that is while and for. We don't have do while in Python. Suppose if it is C, C++, Java, or C Sharp, they have three different types of loops, while, do while, and for. But in Python, we just have only two, while and for. But these two are enough for us. They're more than sufficient. Okay. So let's jump into that discussion. So one important thing, if you talk about any loop, let's start with while first. Okay. If you talk with a traditional loop, for is something here among all these two, while and for loop. If you see, while is a traditional loop or a regular loop, and for is something special, not like regular. Okay. So we'll go one by one. We'll start with while first, and then it may take a while to understand about the while loop. We'll do very basic programs, how to start with looping and how to combine this decision and looping together. All that we discuss. And then we jump to for, and we also understand about range function and how to add range with for. All that we are going to discuss. Okay. So now let's start with while. When we talk about any regular loop, we need to understand three things. What is that? Initialization, condition, incrementation or decrementation. Okay. So what is initialization? It talks about where a loop should start, condition, how many times loop should execute, and then step statement. It is very important Because if you want incremental loop or decremental loop, step statement is very important, without which your loop will fall into infinite loop. It keeps on executing, executing, executing. So step statement is equally important. So this is a quick idea about loop basics. What is that we need? An initialization. Initialization is needed because it tells where a loop should start. And condition is important because it decides how many times a loop should execute. And incrementation or decrementation, it is for a step statement. So in this way, any loop needs these three. These three are very important, friends. And syntax of while. This is syntax of while. It almost looks like if syntax. You can see instead of while, instead of if, we have while condition statements and step statement. This is important. That step can be anywhere. It can be the beginning or at the end. It's fine. Generally, we keep it at the end. So this is the syntax of while. Okay. We'll do some very basic programs like printing 10 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 1. Okay. All that. So that gives you a clear idea. Let me open PyCharm. All my IDs, everything got closed because system restarted. Just give me a minute, friends. I'm just trying to connect everything back. Bring it to normal. Okay. So how is it in US, Madhu? How is it going there?
Oh, this is Sydney, Manohar.
Oh, sorry. I thought you are from US. Yeah. How is it in Sydney?
It's good. I was thinking we had a class yesterday and I was trying to check the link.
No.
We didn't
Yesterday
had
when we
any
had, yeah,
feeling
yeah,
of the festival, right? So,
yeah. That's why actually.
mm,
So we didn't had, so no problem. Whatever sessions we did, I uploaded. Even though we forget to record our last session, I had luckily the previous session recordings. I put it there. Even they are really good. You can just go through it for the
yeah.
previously done recording.
Yeah, I was checking the AWS one.
Yeah,
I just gone through a couple of them. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
It's festive here as well, but it's a mixed thing. If it's a working day, we have to come to office, and if not, yeah.
Uh, okay, okay, got it. So now I think we opened it. Let's start the basic program. We understand it clearly. Anywhere, if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay. So this is AWS automation. I think we need Python one. Let me switch my project. Okay. So go to this file. It's taking a bit a while. Okay, go to file and switch project. Reset projects and then I choose Python 5. This is our this thing. You can put it in this window itself. Yeah, I think this is what we are creating. We just started with all this. These are our programs. I'll push it to our GitHub. I shared the GitHub link to you, friends. And from now onwards, you can use that if you want to have access to any programs. So that's it. It's as simple as that. So now let me just create a new Python package. And then I am just naming it as loops. Okay, enter. And if I am adding it to the GitHub now, so new Python file, and then I'll just name it as while 1 to 10. So this is the basic program. Now, what is that we need here? So printing 1 to 10. And what are the loop basics? Loop basics is first we need initialization. Why initialization? It specifies where loop should start. Okay. Then I just take a loop variable. For this, a variable is important. You can name any, you can give any meaningful name. I put it as I equal to 1. Now the syntax of while condition. If my loop should execute for or iterate for 1 to 10, the condition is this: I less than or equal to 10 colon, then print that I, okay, and then increment it, I equal to the reference, I plus 1. So this is a very basic program. Let's see here. You can see this. So the second part here is condition. You can, I'm just going very slow because this is the these are the basic sessions, are very beginning sessions. So later on, we'll build more automations as well. And then this is a step. By looking at this program, it is very simple and easy to understand. And this is while. So if you look at the syntax, this is the syntax of while condition statements and step statement. And what is this here now? If you look at this is the program we just had written. It's a very simple program, right? Printing 1 to 10. Now, if you run this, let's execute this here, run 1 to 10. And you can see it's printing 1 to 10. And what's happening? What's happened with loop? If it is a loop, it performs, it executes a loop iteratively until condition is false. Okay. Means this loop iterates for how many times? I just have a question, big question for all of you. This loops executes for how many times? This is a quick question. If you want, you can answer in the chart box, friends. I mean, yeah, in the chart. Does it executes for 10 times or 11 times or 12 times? These are the very important certification questions. So as per condition, we expect it executes for 10 times, but in reality, it executes for 11 times. The condition check happens for how many times? 11 times. You got it right. So that is the important observation. Okay, so you can see it's running. If you want, you can put a debugger here and then execute this program in debug mode. And you can just observe the iteration. Sorry, friends. Now let's the debugger switch on. And now you can go. You can see when I is 1. And then you are executing it. And again, I is 2. Again, I is 3. You can see there. I is 4. Every time the value I increments, it checks condition. And then if it is true, control enter into the loop and then executes that block. And then again, increments I. Again, what happens? Again, it checks the condition. Again, if it is true, it enters into the block, executes that. And this happens until condition is false. Now you can see this goes till, if you observe that, see there. It executes till 10, right? Now again it checks a condition. See, even it checks for 11 times. Of course, 10 is fine. Even after this, when I is 11, it checks this condition. See here. So you can see here, it checks this. Of course, this condition is false now. Now run this. Then it terminates the execution process. So this is how, what is this, friends? Printing 1 to 10. This is how we can just create a simple program printing numbers from 1 to 10. So that's it, friends. Understood now? So what is while and what are different basics we need with this loop? What is initialization, condition, and step statement? Right? And how it executes, the execution flow. So the basic nature of loop is it executes until condition is false. So that's it, friends. You got it right there. So now next after this, we'll go to the next program, 10 to 1. If 1 to 10 is incrementation, 10 to 1 is decrementation. Okay, so how do you do that? Let me just show you. You can also try this program if you want. Okay, so I'm just sharing you in the chat box. Maybe if you want, you can run this. Let me just add that here. Let me run it now. So now after this, right click new Python file while 10 to 1. Enter. So what is that I should do, right? Very simple. So here,
Decrement.
only thing is, yeah, my
I equal to
initialization. So here I should set, yeah, somebody is saying, what is that I should do, Simha? I should set I to
yeah,
10.
10 and decrement. Initialization.
Yeah,
In while
here,
loop,
yeah, we should have a slight change in condition. I greater than or equal to 1. Greater than or equal to 1 should be fine. Or greater than 0 should be fine. Okay, anything is fine. Here, this also condition also should change here. There should be a change in condition and then print I. Okay, and then I equal to, you should decrement it, don't increment. Whenever you are printing, right, from 10 to 1, from higher numbers to lower numbers. So what is that you should do is you have to use decrementation. If you are printing lower to higher, then you have to use incrementation. So that is important, friends. So anyhow, this is a simple this thing again. So printing numbers from 10 to 1. So let me run this now. And you can see here, it's printing 10 to 1. So what's happening here? We are decrementing a loop just by using this few changes here, small changes. When you decrement, the conditions should slightly change, and then we should decrement it. We should not increment it. That's it. So this is the idea, friends. This is the idea of what is that, how to print 10 to 1. Next one, just to quickly get some idea, even numbers. Right? There are different ways we can build these even numbers. Let me just create another program. So I'm closing this. You all of you understood this, right? So this is how you can print 10 to 1. Initialize I to 10 and then just have this condition I greater than or equal to 1 and then decrement it. This will give us 10 to 1. Okay, next program, printing events. Okay, now we can use while and if combination. So what do you do? Right click new Python file, even print. Okay, now you can just start like this. You can take anything. If you want, you can also input values from keyboard. The range, like where you want to start, where you want to, how many times you want to increment, all that you can pass it with the dynamic initialization. Okay, so this is printing events. So another simple program, printing even numbers. And now what I'm going to do, so you can take again as usual I equal to 1. Even numbers from what even numbers? The first 10 events are the first 5 events. So that we have to fix here, the range. So printing even numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, let's print the first 10 events. I mean, events in between 1 and 10. Then automatically you understand the same thing. Small change gives you how many ever even numbers you want. Okay, so while I less than or equal to 10. So the easiest way is just print this here first. Suppose the easiest, simplest approach is set this I to 0, first one, first thing, and then print this I. Okay. And then increment this I by how much? I equal to I plus 2. So this is the easiest approach without adding any condition checks or anything. If you just want to print events, right? Of any range, 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. Suppose I want to print 1 to 100 events, I can just change the simple condition here. Instead of checking till 10, we can just change this range value. So I am passing it as 100. Likewise, you can just change it. So now I am just sticking to 10 itself. Okay. So now what is this? Let's run this now. And you can see that the first 5 events here, you can see from 0 to 10. So we get altogether 6 events, including 0. So simple, right? Similarly, this is the simplest approach. Next approach, approach 2. What you can do? So I'll just comment this, or else you can add it under this also. So what is that? You can set again. Okay, let's not get let me not confuse you. I'll comment this approach. Now again same thing. I equal to 1. Now you can start with any number. It's not like you should start with always with 0. Start with 1 or 0. It's up to you. Why? Condition remains same. I less than or equal to 10. Maybe you can do one thing. So you can take a number n and you can input it from keyboard. Means how many numbers you want to generate. Okay, how many even numbers? Okay, so enter n. Or when you pass range, based on that range, number of even numbers should be printed. That is decided. So now I am reading n so that it makes my program more dynamic. So I'm just adding n here. This makes more sense, right? Having dynamic initialization gives me to test on different range of values. Okay, so now what I do, I just before print, I should do a condition check. Inside while we have to put this if block. Right? This is the standard practice we apply in real time. Like okay, instead of just incrementing by 2, so we always go for a condition check. This is the best practice. Like we generally follow in development. So what is that I do? If this loop iterates as usual until n times. What is the 10? It depends on when you run the program. That might be 10, 100,000, 1 lakh or 1 crore. It's up to us. Now you are just doing a condition check. If that I is divisible by 2, we are checking for even. Then just print that I alone. Don't do anything, just print I. This time we are printing I with a conditional this thing. We are having a condition check, and then if that condition is satisfied, we are saying to print it. So this time, what is that? If loop iterates for 10 times, this if check is true for 5 times. Okay, because we have a condition check here. Only when it is even, this condition is true, and then that value is printed. So, and one important thing is once you do the condition check, don't forget to increment the loop. I equal to I plus 1, or you can say I plus equal to 1. It's up to you. And there is a error here, error, not an error. That's a just warning. It's okay. We can ignore that. Now, what you can do, you can run this program. Let's see that. And indentation is very important here. You can see that one important thing about loops is any block construct is indentation. For while I started from the beginning, and after that, if is an inner block, so you can see there an indentation for it. Again, for if block, there is an indentation. Sorry. If I want something inside if block, you can say I clearly provided indentation. Okay, that is very important. But if you see the incrementation and if statement, both are on the same level because these statements are part of while loop. This incrementation, this if belongs to while block. But this print belongs to if block. That is the difference. You have to observe that carefully. Likewise, you have to create indentation carefully. Now I try to run this program. You can rerun again, no problem. Nothing harm comes. So I run this program again. It's asking for input. I put 10 here, right? So then this loop iterates over values from range 1 to 10. Now enter, and you can see here. And you can see all the even numbers between 1 and 10. This time we have just 5 here. Suppose you can run it again. Okay. Suppose I want all events from 1 to 100. And you can see that there. Right? All these are events, right? You can see that 2, 4, 6, 8, and then you can see till 100. We have almost 50 events. You got it right. So this is the simple program to print what is it? even numbers. And this is the best practice, the second approach. More than the first approach, always follow the second one. It's up to you. Once you know how to play around these logics, you can choose first approach or second approach. Anything is fine, friends. It's not like you should follow or stick to something. Performance wise, definitely this is the best practice among these two again. Right? Which gives better performance? Definitely this first approach gives better performance. And say why second approach has is not that best, because you have to do a condition check every time. That will actually add additional this thing time complexity to this execution. You got it right. So as a developer or as an automation engineer or any other engineer, when you are doing development, thinking in this angle is going to help you a lot in your further levels in your I mean in your career. You got it right, friends. It's not just writing code and not just generating output successfully. When you keep growing in career, important tip for you is focus on this kind of best practices. That's going to help you a lot in overall performance. These days, it's very simple with ChatGPT and everything. Suppose you want to check which among these two codes, which is the best code, you can open a ChatGPT simply. Earlier, there were days where you have to do it manually, that performance and everything. But now you can come here, you can just ask ChatGPT or ask or this AI tools to refine your code to provide better performance among these two, which are which have less time complexity. Okay, I'm just asking, and which is best? Of course, definitely condition check is okay. You can see here, snippet one is faster and more efficient in practice. Okay, less iterations, no condition check. Can you see that there? Snippet two is more flexible, works for any user defined N. If your goal is again best practice, if your goal is just to print even numbers, use snippet one pattern, increase by two directly. If you need user control or dynamic range, then definitely snippet 2 is the best thing. Okay. But you still can optimize it by starting with 2 and incrementing by 2. Okay. So this is all. So this is how you have to just keep observing and keep looking, friends. So the best practices. So here, if you see another best practices, it is saying suggesting you start with 2. Why you start with 1? That's true, right? So this helps to avoid one more additional iteration. So this is how you have to think when you do coding, friends. Of course, this everyone will teach you what is that, how to print this even or odd, or how to print 1 to 10, 10 to 1, all these programs. Beyond that, what is important? The important factor is this, the best practice and how do you go for that? And you have to make it as a habit. That is very important. Right? These things, if you have to make it as a practice. Right? Tomorrow, if you want to separate yourself from rest of the engineers who are just following traditional practices. Okay. So that is the idea, friends. Understood now? Next after this. So what else? We'll go to the next program. So this is how while loop works, friends. I hope by now you should get some idea about while, right? All of you are fine. Can I get a thumbs up or yes or no from you? This is how while loop works. Clear for all of you? And yes from you? Okay. Next after that, if you want, we will just quickly do few more programs. I did all this in some other previous sessions. I'll upload all that so you can go through that for solutions. Okay. So not a big issue. and even is over, and then sum of first n numbers. And this is very, very core logic, friends. When you find sum of first n natural numbers, and this logic, when you understand this clearly, this is going to help you a lot in your future logics. Okay, so let's do that now. How do you find sum of first n numbers or first n natural numbers? Okay, let's come here. I'm just creating another program here. What is that? Sum of, you can just name it as first n numbers. Enter. Or you can say first n natural numbers. It's anything is fine. Now you can just add a comment if you want. So sum of the first n natural numbers. Okay. So now what is that I should do? I should have again initialization. Anytime when you work with loops, the first thing always we should declare is initialization. Okay. Okay. Where should we start? We should start with we can start with 1. Here always we should start with 1. Don't start with 2 or anything else. So that is fine. Or 0 is also fine. Even if you add 0, it doesn't add to anything because adding 0 doesn't have any big difference. So start with 1. And loop. How many times you can take, you can input a value n, and then you can just try to read it from keyboard, enter n. So this gives the range, like, till what value you should find some. And then the condition is that I less than or equal to n, okay, colon, then the logic. So you take one variable here outside the loop, that is for assigning sum. So don't use sum. There is a sum function. Sometimes there will be a conflict between the sum variable and function. So just give it as some result equal to 0. Okay, that is the best practice. Instead of having sum, having result is the best practice. Okay, and then what you can do? So to find sum of first n numbers, you can say result equal to result plus I. This is the logic. What you are doing here, every time loop iterates, you add I to result, right? 0 plus 1, and that total result you assign to the same variable result. This is what we are doing. We are trying to produce incremental sum. Every time loop iterates, we are trying to add that total result to the I, and then again storing it back into the result itself. And this is how this works. This keep going. So, and this is the very core logic, and we use this in number of places, not just only in this program. Okay, and even factorial, all that have a similar kind of this thing, a logic. If you just change plus into, it becomes a factorial with a small change result to is, we should set this result to 1. So that gives factorial. Of course, we'll talk about it in the next program. But this is the program to find sum of n numbers, where you should start I with 1 and result set it to 0. This is important. Declaring a resultant variable is always important in these kind of logics. And then iterate loop as the condition. This is the logic. Result equal to result plus I, and print that. You don't need to print it. Increment I plus equal to 1. It is a shorthand representation. If you want it to be simple and easy to understand, you can just use I equal to I plus 1. It's up to you whether to use shorthand or the full form. And finally, what you have to do? And finally, print. What is that? F. I'm using format string. The sum is, and then you can just use this here and then print result outside the loop, not inside loop. You can see I'm not printing inside loop. If you print this result inside loop, you get incremental sum. There is nothing wrong in that. But if you want to do some testing and all that, you have to keep this print inside the loop. Else it should be outside the loop. Okay, let's run this now. Okay, you can see here, enter F. I'm just trying to find first sum of first 10 numbers. It is 55. That's perfect. You can just add first 10 numbers and see. It will be 55. Right? And you can see that I just get a direct answer here. Straight answer. I am not having anything in between. So suppose I just take this and I put it inside the while. Okay. If you want, you can keep this, you can leave this as is. There is nothing wrong with that. But what I am doing, I am just adding one more print inside the while. What's going to happen? We get incremental sum. Every time I is added to the result, we can see that how that addition is happening in each iteration. Got it right? So suppose this, if you want to, if you are a beginner and if you want to understand the flow, so this is one approach. The second approach is always debugging. If you want to understand the dynamics of program properly, and if you want to understand the internal mechanism of any execution, debugging is the best practice. Okay, right click, run this now. For now, you can run it, just enter N. And you can see there. First sum is 1 because we just started with 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. Then again sum is 3. Why? Because I becomes 2. You also should see that every time I increments. So what happens? The sum is getting added with that incremented and the result in the result variable. 1 plus 2 becomes 3. And you can easily follow the process. And again, what else now? Again, I becomes something else. So that, and that 3 plus 3, it becomes 6. I is 3 and result is 3. 3 plus 3 becomes 6 and again it is stored into result. Likewise, I becomes 4 and result is 6 and then 6 plus 4 becomes 10. And I becomes 5, result is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. And I become 6 and result is 10. Okay, so how much it is? Sorry, I become 6 and result is 15. It becomes 21. You can see that, right? How this, I mean, this iterative sum is happening. So every time you are trying to add that result to the I and again storing that back to the result. And finally it produces this 54. So this is how this sum of first n natural numbers is implemented. Okay, hope you got this. This we are seeing 55 for 2 times because one result is from this inside loop and one is from outside. Okay, that's why we see that 2 outputs here. Right, we are seeing output for 2 times. You got it, friends? So that is the idea. So I hope you got this clear. So let me just add this here to the now after this next one. So once we do this, so this is about finding first and sum of first and natural numbers. Suppose I want to just another simple program. I want just the first sum of even natural numbers. Just another scenario. What is that? Sum of even natural numbers. Then what do you do, friends? Natural numbers. What you do? Very simple, right? Just add a condition check. If I percentile 2 equal to 0, this is one approach. Okay. If I percentile 2 equal to 0 colon, and then I'm just trying to and move this condition, I mean move this logic into this if block. Only when I is even, you should add this number, not always. Of course, if you want, you can move this print also into this if block. But this incrementation should not be inside if, it should be always outside. Okay, you got it right, friends? So that is the overall idea. So let me run this now. Now you this time you are going to see only sum of even natural numbers. You can see that it's 30 this time, it's not 55. You understand? Why? Because we have a conditional sum here. This is called conditional sum. You are doing addition only when numbers are even. Similarly, you can play around on different scenarios. You got it right? So this is the idea again, another program of this thing, right? All that will be recorded. You can go through that if you want. You can use that for your practice from recording, or I am pinging in the chart as well. So that's the idea. I hope you are clear with this while loop, friends. Can you just confirm that you are good? Then we'll jump to the next topic. You can practice all other these things. You can see perfect number, primer composite, and then Fibonacci series. There are different logics where you can try and implement them. And if you need any exclusive logic session, I can do that for you. Do you want that too? It's fine. We can make one session for logics. All of you are clear? Understood, friends. Next, after that, as we got a clear idea, like how this while loop is working, right? And we did some programs with while. This should give you a clear picture about while loop. How does this loop works? And then how to create that simple programs with all these three different fundamentals, that initialization, condition, and step statement. And we did 4 or 5 programs on this while loop. This will definitely give you a clear idea of how this while works and the execution flow of while and everything. And we did also apply debugging. That should give you a clear idea. Okay, that's it, friends. Next, what I do is I'll jump to the so this logics anyhow. So one thing, I already have a recording of all this. I'll share with in the YouTube directly. You can just try and go through that. As now you are clear with the logic part. Next one. So for loop, I suppose nested while, another one. Another scenario, while working with loops, what you should understand is you can see here, friends. So this is fine. I will also do one more small strategy. I mean, I will also introduce one more small logic. What is that? These are all again falls under this similar kind of logics. But this one, suppose I have a number. Let me just do one more small program. Printing digit by digit in a number. Let me introduce that logic to you. What is that? Printing digit by digit. Suppose you are starting, you are the very beginning, you are very beginning to programming. Okay. And I clearly know that how our mind consumes this because I started with from the very this thing of coding. Initially, these are all some the hardest and toughest logics to my brain when I just started. Just trust me, friends. And I learned it like very simplistic way of understanding that, very step by step. So what is needed is understanding that basic foundation logic is important. Okay. So this digit by digit is something which you need to understand. What is that? I have a number like this, suppose 153. Now I want to print number by number 1 and okay, you can see here 1 and 5 and 3. Right. How do I do that? If it is 1 to 10, now we know how to do that. If it is 10 to 1, we know how to do that. But if we have a number like 2 digit number, 3 digit number, 4 digit number, 5 digit number, then how to print it digit by digit? What are the dynamics we need to add in the loop? Very simple. Just follow me, you understand it. The simple solution for this is you have to divide it with 10. Okay. You have to perform division and that division should be by 10. Suppose if you want to just extract a value from a number like 3 and 5 and 1, the simple solution to this is divide that by 10 and extract remainder. Right? Divide by 10 and what is that? Extract. You can see that remainder. I am using this. Sorry, friends. Reminder. Extract. Okay. So whenever you see this word reminder, you have to apply which operation? You have to apply percentage. Second step. Once you do that, right, you have to pass something as input for next iteration. Right? Once you extract 3 from this 153 or any kind of number, once you extract last digit from a multi-digited number, then the rest of the part, that 15, we have to pass as input to next iteration. So that will be the actually the quotient. Okay. If you divide by 10, 10 15s, 150, and then remainder will be 3. And the quotient, whatever is there, that you have to pass as input for next iteration. Okay. Again, pass quotient as input for next iteration. I'm just only trying to dissect the logic. Okay. The execution flow. Quotient as input for next iteration. Okay. So that is the important steps, basics we should understand when you're working with this kind of logics. Okay. So what do you do right now? You take a number n and better input from keyboard so that you can play around different kinds of numbers. So here you just try to provide input and then just add that, enter n. Then iterate loop. This time don't say that I less than or equal to something. We just need to apply n greater than 0. Okay, or n not equal to 0, something like that. Means until that n becomes 0, what you have to do, this loop should keep on iterating. So that is the logic you should implement or you should add here. So this is the condition. Iterate this loop until n becomes 0. Why n becomes 0? I am going to explain just in next few seconds. So now get the remainder. Okay, remainder equal to n percentile 10. Okay, when you do that, you get reminder and print that reminder. That is what the digit we need right now. Okay. Whatever that digit we need to print, that is extracted to this variable reminder. You got it right. And that we are printing. And finally, what you have to do, n equal to, here this time you have to say double slash 10. Don't use single slash. We are not doing floating division. We should do integer division. Okay. So this is what you should do here. Now, finally, what? Just run this. We are done. That's all. This is a very simple program. Hardly we just have 3 steps. But this is very important. Right? So you should understand in this kind of situations, division by 10 is something which you should remember. Right? Once you know that basic thing, then you can play around different varieties of logics. Okay. So let's run this now. And you can see enter n. Maybe I just put 153. You can see 351. Suppose you ask a question, I want it as 153, then you have to follow a different strategy. Because for this kind of, if you just have a basic natural number, and if you want to print it, what is that? Digit by digit. Then this is the approach we can follow. Suppose I want 153, then you have to assign that result to some list or something and then print it. That's it. From list, you can play around in whichever the direction you want. Got it, friends? So I'll show you that when we go to the list topic again. So here what's going to happen? Let me just show you the internal execution flow of this logic because this is important So I'm trying to spend some time here. Now you right click and then debug this. Now you understand, you will get a very clear picture on this. It's waiting for the input. I put it as 153. If not 1, 2, 3, 4. This loop iterates for 4 times and it prints 4 digits. It prints 4. I mean, how many digits are printed? 4 digits. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So now enter. Now you can see this loop started and the n is assigned to this variable n in the program. Now it checks if 1, 2, 3, 4 is greater than 0. It's true, right? So then you have to go line by, I mean step by step. You can see we enter into this and in the line 12 we get reminder. You can see that we got 4. It extracted 4 because when you divide 1, 2, 3, 4 by 10, you can do this simple division. When you divide 1, 2, 3, 4 by 10, what is the reminder? Integer division. Don't go for float. If you do integer division, it will be remainder is 4. And we print that 4. And then what is that? And the quotient this time is 123. And that is assigned to the n back. You can see here. When you come here, when 123 is divided by 10, the quotient becomes 123. You can see there. That 123 is replaced into the existing n. And instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 is overwritten into this n. Now again the story continues. It goes to the condition 123 is greater than 0. It's true. Enter into the while block and now extracts again one more value, the rightmost value when you divide by 10. So that becomes what is that? Now it extracts 3. You can see that is assigned to remainder and that is printed. Now what is that? The quotient it takes as step 12. You can see here 123 divided by 10. The quotient here is 12 for integer division. So that is what you can see there. 12 is extracted and it is replaced into this n. Again it continues till when? Till n becomes 0. Why? Because every time you iterate, the value of n keeps updating. And this statement acts as a step statement, the statement at line 14. This acts as a step statement. You got it right, friends? So now again it goes, you can see there, you get reminder 2 and that is printed and then you got again that quotient, whatever that is extracted in that iteration. And now finally this is 1 and became 1. This is the last iteration you can see there. You come here, that 1 is extracted, you can see. And finally we print that and now we are trying to divide 10, that 1 by 10. In integer division, when you do that, the quotient becomes 0. So you can see there. N became 0. And finally, by the end of this iteration, what is this n here? It is just 0. Now you can come here and you can see here 0 greater than 0 is false. By that time, you can also see that the value of n is, what is that, friends? N is 0. So overall, we also extracted all those values. If you look at into the console, we also extracted all the 4 digits from this 4-digit number 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's it. Now finally, what is that? You can just simply say step over. Now the execution is completed and we are able to successfully extract all digits from that number one by one. So this is how this kind of simple programs works, friends. Clear now? This is the idea. So I just spent some time because this is very core logic and you need to understand. This is a basic for all palindrome, Armstrong, all different kinds of logics. So that's why we try to get a bit of clear picture on this. Suppose I want to print it as, what is that? Suppose I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to print it as the number is 1, 2, 3, 4. The output is 4, 3, 2, 1, right? You ask me a question. What is that question? Manoram, I want it as 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it is this, my output should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you do that? Yeah, sure. We can just take a list here, something like numbers. NUMBERS numbers equal to take an empty list. I'll just show you. Every time you extract a number, put it in the list, okay? Numbers dot append of that reminder. I'm adding to the list. Okay, now just a very simple this thing, you can see that. Just create a list. Every time you try to extract a reminder, just append it to the list. Means you are adding those reminders to the this list numbers. That's all. You are not doing anything that is impossible. Okay. So then once you do that, by the end of this complete, I mean execution, all that numbers are added into this list numbers. Okay, now you can see this. I'm printing that list here, and then you can see there. Let's run this now. Enter this sum 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see that all that numbers are added to the list. Now, suppose I want it to print 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what I can do? I can just iterate it for. Okay, so first thing is you can sort it by descending. What I can do here? I can simply sort this list by descending. Simply what I can do is print. Okay, you don't need to apply print as well. Numbers. I'm just showing you simple strategy. Dot sort. You can see that. So there is a value here for sort. I think to get it in reverse order. So what is that? A reverse. You have to use this, friends. Reverse equal to, there is something true and false. Set this to true. And then after that, print numbers. Okay. And print it. I'm just only showing you. You don't need to understand this part. What is that? This list part, adding to list and then sorting it. I'm only just showing you. If you ask me a question, I want output in this pattern. I want it starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, not 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm just showing you how we can get that output. Okay, but you don't need to get this, understand all this. Okay, I'll again bring back this when we discuss list topic. Okay, we'll recap this again when we go to the list topic. So now run this now, and it's waiting for the input 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can see that the number is even. Where is this number is even? Where are we printing this? It's trying to input. Just a minute, friends. Why it's getting this? We don't need number is even, right? Look, let me rerun it again. Print digit by digit and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I using any print? Why this even is printing? This is coming into the picture for some reason. I'll just fix that. Not an issue. Even here also it's that only. Okay. Is it because it, let me run this now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, it's running again. I don't see anything getting imported as well. We put n actually. It's not enter number for this one. We ask enter n again. Okay. Something is overlapping here, friends. Yeah, I can see that there. Even we don't have any errors, right? Yeah, this is a warning, not error. Okay, let me run this and see. Let me give a 1, 2, 3, 4 again. 2, 3, 4. Somewhere this even number is overlapping. Again, you can see that now. Now we are able to get this 4, 3, 2, 1. And then reverse equal to false. Let me just change this. I'll fix that, not an issue. First, observe this output, second output. Why it's running even number program? That's what this. Even we don't see any import module here for running that. Okay, first let me run it first, okay, and test it now. 153. Why it's getting this? Okay, leave that aside for just few of these things. There is some overlapping happening for some reason. Now again enter this n here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can see that this sorting happened. Just observe this sorting here. It sorted 1, 2, 3, 4 because I said reverse equal to false so that it will be in descending order. Now simply if you want it for I in numbers, just something like this. If you want it digit by digit, print type. So these are the steps we should follow. So take a list, add reminders to this list using append method present inside this list class. Okay, you can see that. Then sort it in descending. When you said reverse equal to false, it is sorted in in ascending. You can see that there. I said descending, right? I'm correcting it. When you say reverse equal to false, it sorts that list in ascending order. When you set that reverse equal to true, it sorts the list in descending order. So this is another step. And then once that is sorted in ascending order, just print it. Now you can see there, run it now. I'll do one thing. Let me directly assign a value. So that we can avoid this n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So run this now. It's trying to even ask for input for some reason. Something is maybe if we restart and see that okay, I don't want to. Why it's asking for that? Don't see anything in imports. And generally, sometimes by default, we import modules. So this bad practice happens. So I just give 1, 2, 3. That's fine. Now you can see that. Okay, leave about this part. I'll fix on this. Okay, you can see 4, 3, 2, 1. And then this is what we get when we try to iterate it naturally. We get 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, but after that we use a list and then we try to collect all those reminders and then we sorted it in ascending order. Now you can see that you are seeing these values are printed in natural sorting order. Instead of 4, 3, 2, 1, you can see the output in 1, 2, 3, 4. You got it right? So this is the observation you should have it. So I'm just explaining all that, whatever is needed. So if you have this question, maybe if some interviewer asks this question, so then you can tell him that we can use the list and add values to this list, append values to list, and then you can apply sort in reverse order. Or if you want, you can point that printing from last to beginning. If you don't want to apply sort, you can start from end of the list to the beginning of list. Anything is fine. Okay, I'll explain more on this. We can play around this kind of scenarios when we discuss list topic. But just now let's make it simple. Let's not make it too complex now. Or let's not make it difficult. Okay, so this is the idea. So only thing is, yeah, that is the overall picture of what is that this looping. I mean, while and the basics of the fundamentals of while and simple programs on while, and then also this is a very useful program. How to get digit by digit from a number, all these things, friends. Actually, there is a simple this thing. While they actually this this is trying to intercept in the in between into this law execution. I'll check on that why it's coming there. Okay, but overall this is about while loop, friends. I'll fix on that. We don't need to worry about it. Why this is coming? I'm running it again from here. Okay. Let me give it as 2, 3, 4, 10, 12. Again, it's calling that event program by the reason. Okay, we can also check with different this thing. When numbers are different. Okay, it's fine, friends. I'll fix on that, not a big issue. I'll just see why it's getting. Clear now? Is this clear for all of you, friends? I think you got a clear picture about the logic, right? Even how to add to a list and then how to sort it and all that stuff. Understood now? So that output thing, you don't worry about it. There is some overlapping happening. That's okay. That's not something really to be worried. I'll fix on that. So any more questions before I jump to the another very important topic again? What is that? That topic is simple, friends. What is that topic? For loop. Actually, in real time, more than while, because I don't remember using while much in my day-to-day coding. But most of the times, I use for loop. What loop I use? For loop. And I just show you one more last program on patterns, nested patterns. So that gives you overall coverage of different scenarios with while loop. Okay, we are just okay. We have few more minutes, right? So what is that? Printing a simple pattern using nested while. So I just put it as a nested while. I'll just take a very simple pattern. Maybe if you ask me a question, what is that? Manoram, can't you try something really complex patterns? If definitely I can do it, friends, because all that we need is just sit down and try to apply logic. That's all. And I did that number of times. It's not just okay. But to start with, this is enough for us. I always I always recommend when you do something in the beginning, don't go with too big examples. Start with simple examples, slowly build that on top of that. That is always the best practice and best learning practice. I just want to print this kind of pattern. So what is that I should do here? Just come here. For that, we are going to use nested while. Nested while in sense, let me show you here the syntax for nested while. Simple, just put while inside while, like if inside if. Like, you put while some condition one, okay, and then colon, and again, you can put one more while condition two. And you should clearly know how this execution should happen because you are controlling the flow as a developer. So just have some statements here that should be fine. And you can see I'm always following indentation carefully. That's it. That is something very important. And finally, you can step statements are needed for both whiles, not just only inner and up, but we need it for outer as well. So let me just show you a simple program with this scenario. So what is that patterns? Okay. And that pattern is what 1 star and then 2 stars and then 3 stars and then that should be okay. Enough with this 4 stars. Every time loop iterates, right? You can see for first time you should print one. Suppose you are in loop. For in the first iteration, print 1 star, second iteration, 2 stars, third iteration, 3 stars. You can achieve this very, very easily. What is that you should do? Why? Take a variable, loop variable I equal to 1. Start with 1. While you can say that I less than I equal to. The outer row gives you number of rows. How many rows you want in this pattern? Suppose if you want 4 rows, just say it 4 here and then colon and then enter. Okay. So when you say I less than or equal to 4, it means you are trying to print 4 rows. The outer loop gives number of rows. Okay, the inner loop gives the exact pattern. If you want it a rectangle, triangle, or reverse it this thing. Okay, different patterns we create through inner loops, not with outer. Outer is for it's for iterating over number of rows. Okay, now what is that I do while? So you take another variable inside this outer loop. Say this is for inner loop, j equal to 1. Okay, now what is that you should do while I less than or equal to, oh, so when I is 1, this executes for 2 times, right? Yeah, this gives you greater than or equal to j. Let's try this. So here you get j is 1, j is 2, right? Suppose depends on I how many times this j loop iterates. If outer loop iterates for 1 time, inner loop. So when I is 1, it should iterate for 1 time. When I is 2, this loop iterates for 2 times. So it should be j less than or equal to I. You got it right? So that's it. So how many times inner loop should iterate? I times. So that's why my condition is j less than or equal to I. If I is 1, j iterates for 1 time. If I is 2, j iterates for 2 times. If I is 3, j iterates for 3 times. That is what the pattern we are expecting, right? So now what is that? Just print that. Print. You have to print star, right? Just print star. And then just you can say separator equal to, we use some separator here. Just put empty space. You don't add anything. If you want to print, right, all the stars in the same line using this separator and just setting it to the space is enough. Now, after that, what you have to do? You have to just increment j plus equal to 1, and then also you just need a empty print here just to push cursor to the next line. After every time you print one row of stars, you have to push cursor to the next line. So that's why this print is. So this print is executed after completely iterating this inner loop for 1 time. I mean, 1 time in sense after the whole execution of inner loop here. Then we come to this print. You got it right. So by the time this inner loop executes completely, 1 row of stars will be printed. Then we say print, then it pushes the cursor to next line so that we can achieve this pattern. Okay, following right, friends. Finally, I have to increment. So I incremented while, that is fine. And this while incrementation, inner loop should be inside this inner while, not outside. J incrementation should be inside inner loop. And I incrementation should be inside outer loop, I plus equal. Now, if I iterates for 1 time, j iterates for I times. If I is 1, j iterates for 1 time, 1 star is printed. If I is 2, j iterates for 2 times, 2 stars are printed. When I is 3, j iterates for 3 times, j loop iterates for 3 times, 3 stars are printed. And similarly, it continues. Now, if you run this, let's run it now. So it's printing like this, right? So I have to just adjust my, I think I'm trying to get the output. I'm able to achieve the output. But only thing is, it's not getting in expected pattern. So somewhere I am missing out on that. Okay. So why I'm missing? Let me just see. So this print is fine. Otherwise, let me remove this. How this is going to get if I don't do that. You can see that space is removed. That's fine. Separator. Let me run it now. So I have to use something here. It's going line by line. I just need to fix this here. Slash. So we have, okay. Instead of separator, I can use and variable. Yeah, let me try with and. And equal to, just we need to this. Let me use space now. Let me run this now. Perfect. So finally is the, don't use separate, use and there and then run. You can just you use any help there for this kind of, you can see now finally I am able to get this pattern. See this. So this is nested while, a while in while. By now you should have a clear idea of the execution flow because I repeated again and again. If outer loop iterates for one time, inner loop until executes until condition is false. And then you can see I am able to achieve the pattern which I am showing in the requirement. I am able to print the pattern. Can you see there? Yes, sir. We got it right. Yes. Here instead of separator, I should use and here. If I use just space, it doesn't allow cursor to the next line and prints all that stars whatever we have in that iteration in the same line. That's what happens when you apply this and equal to space. Okay. Once that iteration is completely done, once that one row is completely printed, it comes to this print, pushes cursor to next line, and then again start the next iteration. I increments, right? I becomes 1, and then once every time I increments, I becomes 2. Then inner loop iterates for 2, and it just prints two stars and pushes cursor to next line, and I becomes 3, and again inner loop iterates for 3 times. Then you can see that 3 stars are printed in a row. After that, it comes to print, push cursor to next line like this. Okay, for printing for next iteration, and then I increments, I becomes 4. Then inner loop iterates for 4 times and prints 4 stars. So this is the execution flow. All of you are clear? Did I make it clear for you, friends? Hope this is simple and easy to understand. Yes or no, friends? So this is overall idea of different scenarios with while and the basics of looping. You understood, right? Clear now? If you have any questions, I take up your questions now. So we'll stop here. So you can see that this time I don't see any this thing here in the output. I don't get any overlapping in the output. In the previous program, something had come in between. I'll fix that. But overall, you got that idea of this thing, right? How this loop works, all that, how to get digit by digit, and how to play around that kind of what custom scenario. Custom in sense is it of 3241, sorry, 4321, how to get it 1234, and the role of list here, and then how we are adding it to the list, how we are sorting it, all that. Clear, right? So that's it, friends. So I hope I recorded session. Yeah, this session definitely